I'm Jonathan. Welcome to Rather Be Riffing. So today I'm going to do one of my most requested guitar comparison videos. Let's compare the PRS 594 core model versus the PRS 594 SE. So the Indonesian-made SE 594 comes in at around 1/5 of the price as the USA-made core version. So I'm very curious to see what trade-offs PRS has made to meet this lower price point, and how much does it matter in terms of the quality of instrument. So in order to do so, I'm going to do several sound comparisons between the two guitars. I'll talk about some of the main differences in spec, and at the end of the video, I'll also do a A/B comparison of both guitars in the context of the intro music. And then I'll wrap up with some of my personal observations around how well I think the SE version stacks up to the core version. So when PRS launched the 594 model in February of 2016 as a limited private stock run, it was love at first sight. I was enamored with the vintage look as well as the vintage tone I was hearing. And I was also very curious about the shorter scale length, which more closely approximates a Gibson guitar. And so I've been very fortunate over the years to own two different private stock 594s. I've owned both the single cut version as well as the double cut version. If you're curious to check out some reviews and comparison of those guitars, I'll drop some links in the description below. And today I still proudly own the double cut 594 private stock. This is a keeper guitar, and so I have an intimate knowledge of what the full potential of these guitars are, and I'm very curious to see what the core version and SE versions can offer. And so for my signal chain today, I'm using a stereo rig with two Fender Blackface style amps. I'm using a 2-rock Bloomfield drive, as well as a Blankenship Twinplex. Both amps are set clean. Those are running into two Shure reactive loads with Friedman 4x12 cab impulse responses. And I'll note what pedals I'm using for various gain stages along the way. So for this first sound comparison, let's do a little sampling of the neck, middle, and bridge pickup. And I'll be using some light overdrive with my Vemoram Jan Ray. So right off the bat, I was struck by how similar these guitars sound despite how wide the price gap is. That said, I am picking up on some differences. The core version to me is sounding a little fuller, while the SE version is sounding a little brighter. But let me know what you're picking up on so far. So when it comes to the setup and playability of these two guitars, I have them set up with the same action and the same pickup heights, and they play and feel remarkably similar. The neck profiles are nearly identical as far as I can tell, and the tuning stability, action, and playability are very, very similar. I'd be hard-pressed to really identify any major differences. So what I love most about the 594 model is its touch sensitivity and dynamic range. I find that to be very expressive. So I'm very curious to see how well the SE model holds up in that regard. So I'll play a more delicate and nuanced part on the neck pickup using both my fingers and a pick. Let's see how well the guitars compare. So I found the SE model to be every bit as expressive as the core model. That touch sensitivity, dynamic range, string separation, clarity, and that beautiful attack that I love about the 594 is all there in the SE model. Again, I was hearing the SE to be a bit brighter, with the core model being a bit fuller and having a little bit more depth, but subtle stuff. Let me know what you're hearing. So let's start talking about some of the differences in spec on these guitars. As of 2024, the SE version is coming in at $900 US, while the core version, non-10 top, is coming in around $4,700 US. So with that massive price difference, what are some of the big differences in spec? So the first thing that I noticed right off the bat is the carved top, or lack thereof, on the SE model. If you look close, you can see there is some carve. However, it's very minimal compared to the classic PRS violin carve, which is truly a thing of beauty. And so if that's something that's very important to you, that is one of the benefits of the core model. Another big difference is the SE model, both the body and neck, while made of mahogany, are multi-piece. This looks to be a 3-piece body, as well as a 3-piece neck. The advantage of that is it gets the price point down. Another advantage is that a multi-piece neck tends to be more stable. The weights on these guitars are actually very similar. I'd say this is an average weight, not too heavy, not too light. And the SE is coming in a hair lighter, actually. So if you're concerned about guitar weights, it is possible to find an SE that comes in at a very good weight. Another difference is that the SE is using a maple veneer top, while the core model has the conventional 1/4-inch maple cap. The SE does have the natural binding, like the core model. However, I don't know if that's a maple top with a veneer on it, or if they just taped off some of the mahogany body to give it a faux look. If anybody knows, please comment below. As for the finish, the SE model comes with a poly finish, while the core model comes with a nitro-based formula. The poly feels great. It's nice and smooth. If I was blindfolded, I don't know if I'd actually be able to tell the difference between the two finishes, honestly. I noticed the figuring on the mahogany is different between the two guitars. I'll do some close-ups of that. What I noticed about the core model is the mahogany is more tightly grained and more consistent, whereas the SE version, less so. I don't know if that makes any tonal differences or if it's just an aesthetic difference, but worth noting. So the last obvious differences I see between the two guitars are up at the headstock. First off, the nut material on the core is bone. The nut material on the SE is a synthetic material. And then you may notice the headstock on the core is a rosewood overlay, which we don't have on the SE version. So up next, let's go to the middle position, check out some clean tones with a touch of chorus. So upon closer examination, there are several other subtle differences that start to reveal themselves. The pickup rings are a different material and a different height. You can see that the bridge pickup is more exposed when compared to the core model, despite the pickup heights being set exactly the same. The control plates on the back of the core model are recessed, so they're flush with the body, whereas the SE model, the plates are not recessed, so you can feel those protruding. Similarly, the screw on the truss rod cover is recessed on the core model, and it's not recessed on the SE. The side jack input is a little more robust in a different shape on the core when compared to the side jack plate on the SE version. The inlay material on the core model has more color and figuring. It looks like it's abalone. Whereas the birds on the SE model, while they're very well done, they're more opaque. I'm not sure what the material is, but it doesn't have any color or figuring. The tone and volume knobs on the SE are just the classic cylindrical shape, and the pots are smooth, while the knobs on the core line have that textured indentation, and they're also smooth, but they're a bit faster. And then lastly, I noticed on the pickups, the pole piece screws are all parallel on both pickups, whereas on the core model, they're all angled. And so it seems as though that's just a random fluke, or perhaps there's more time spent in final assembly dialing in the pole pieces on the core version, whereas that might not be occurring in the SE setup. So up next, let's see how these two guitars compare with some high gain. I'm gonna go into the bridge pickup. I'm gonna use my Vemram Janray boosted by a BK Butler tube driver. line setting neutralizes some of the tonal differences between the two guitars. However, I'm still hearing that overarching character shine through here, where the SE is a touch brighter and the core model's a bit warmer. Now, I don't know if that's just the difference between these two examples, or if that's a general characteristic across these two different lines. For anybody that's had experience with both guitars, let me know if you've found something similar. So the time has come to compare both these guitars in the context of a mix. So I will play the intro music and A/B both guitars, and let me know which one you prefer and why. So how do I think the SE version compares to the core model? So I'm quite impressed with the SE version. While not an exact science, I feel that it gives you at least 80% or more of the sound and playability for only 20% of the price. And so if the SE is more in line with your budget and the 594 model really appeals to you, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it. And so if you have the budget for the core model and you're more discerning about getting that maximum tone, maximum attention to detail in terms of the materials and the construction, I also wouldn't hesitate to recommend the core model as well. While it's quite an upcharge from the SE model, you get the classic PRS violin carve, solid body, solid neck, higher quality woods, better materials, and a little bit more of a resonant and fuller sounding guitar. So I'm really curious to know which guitar you preferred and why. And if you happen to have played or owned both guitars, what has your experience been? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested to go even deeper in the 594 journey, let me know if you'd be interested in a comparison of the private stock 594 versus the core model. In the meantime, thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. That would really help me get the content out to others that may enjoy it as well. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.